Hello, friends. Once again, I welcome you all for my lecture number 5. In lecture number 4, I gave you the explanation about a field of a polarized object. And this lecture, we will discuss some numerical problems of the polarized object. We will find the field of the polarized object. So let us take the first problem today. uh, the problem which is given to you is that find the electric field produced by uniformly polarized sphere of radius r. So you have a sphere of radius r which is uniformly polarized, and please remember, if the sphere is uniformly polarized, then your vector p is given to you, and you can set your vector p along the polar axis of our coordinate system. We will solve this problem in a spherical polar coordinate system. So we have a sphere and we align vector p, that is the polarization vector p, along the direction of z axis. This is the polar axis. So we set vector p along the polar axis of our coordinate system, and we have a radius vector r, that is vector r, you see, which is measured from the center. So this vector r, you see, is basically a radius vector, and you have a unit vector which is in the direction of the radius vector r. Now we are interested to study the electric field inside the sphere as well as electric field outside the sphere. So here I want to show you that if you calculate the electric field inside the sphere of uniformly polarized sphere, then we will see that electric field is uniform, which I would like to show you, and the electric field will be observed in the negative z direction, that is in the negative k direction, right? And you can see here I have mentioned the direction of the electric field because of the polarization, and you see that the electric field is along negative z directions and the field is uniform. And outside the sphere, the field is similar to the field of a dipole as such. So you may consider a dipole is placed along the z-axis and the center of the dipole is coinciding at the origin of the coordinate system. And if you look at the field of a dipole, the field of a dipole will represent the field of a uniformly polarized sphere of radius r, and this field will be at outside the surface of the sphere. This we will discuss. I will show you this. So in this problem, you see how to solve. I consider that z-axis is coinciding with the direction of the polarization, which you consider here. The volume bound charge density, that is rho b, is 0, because you see whenever there is a uniform polarization, and if the polarization is uniform, if the object is also uniform, because we have a spherical, you have a charge distribution, and you have a sphere which is uniform, and the polarization is uniform, so there are no volume bound charges in the interior of the sphere. So rho b is always 0 if polarization is uniform, and that is always discussed. So rho b is 0. And you know that we know we want to calculate sigma b. Sigma b is basically a vector p with the scalar product with vector n. And you know that vector n, here you can see this radius vector r. Your unit vector n is in the direction of a radius vector r, which is changing its magnitude from 0 to capital R in the interior of the sphere. So your unit vector n is in the direction of radius vector r, which is making angle theta with the z-axis. Okay, so you can see that sigma b, that is the surface charge density of the bound charges is a scalar product of vector p, that is a polarization vector p with a unit vector n, and this scalar product is given as p cos theta because the magnitude of unit vector is 1. So it is p cos theta. So as such, we can say that this charges is plastered over the surface of the sphere. And because this charges is plastered over the surface of the sphere, it produces the electric field. And that is why you see I wrote a statement here that the field produced by this charge density, which charge density p cos theta, that is the surface charge density of the bound charge density, which is plastered over the surface of a sphere. Because of this charge which is plastered over the surface of the sphere, you have electric field inside the sphere as well as outside the sphere. So now you look at the problem, this uh, problem which I would like to discuss here, that the potential of such charge distribution. You see, whenever you have such charge distribution where there are no bound charges, but there are surface charges which is plastered over the surface, and if you calculate the potential of such charge distribution inside the sphere as well as outside the sphere, that one can calculate. Now to calculate the potential because of this charge distribution is given in chapter number 3. Your chapter number 3 you have to study at your sixth semester number 5. Right? So we will use this result directly. So the result of the potential which is calculated inside the sphere as well as outside the sphere will be given in the examinations also. So there is no need to remember the electric field, electric potential inside as well as outside the sphere. But if your memory is very sharp, then one can remember the potential because of the surface charge, which is the sigma b, is given by a magnitude of polarization vector p divided by 3 epsilon 0 r cos theta when your when your magnitude of vector r is less than the radius of the sphere, and it is given as capital P divided by 3 epsilon 0 r cube, that is a capital R cube divided by r square cos theta when you are talking about outside the sphere or over the sphere. This two expression is derived in your textbook, and that is given in your chapter number 3, right? This chapter, that is the calculations for the potential. And this particular chapter we have included in your semester number 5 of your syllabus. So this expression you have to use it right now directly. There is no need to derive these two expressions. So I am writing these two expressions and I am using these expressions for r less than capital R, that is inside the sphere as well as outside the sphere. And you know, in a spherical polar coordinate system, r cos theta is right as a z coordinate. Z is equal to r cos theta. So you can see this expression. And now, once you know the potential, you can calculate the electric field because you make a negative gradient of potential will always give the electric field, and we are interested to find the field inside the sphere as well as outside the sphere. We know potential inside the sphere, we know potential outside the sphere, so let us calculate the field. So now I calculate the electric field. This is a vector field, so here I have not mentioned the vectorial form, but this is a vectorial vector quantity. This is the electric field and it is a vector. It is having the direction of negative gradient of potential, and potential, you know, it is P upon 3 epsilon r cos theta is Z. So I write down Pz divided by 3 epsilon. This is a negative gradient of this, and the gradient is basically a del operator. It's a differential operator. So this is a gradient of this, that is equal del by del x I plus del by del yj plus del by del zk. But since your your operand is only z dependent, this is the operand, it is only z dependent. So differentiation with respect to x and differentiation with respect to y will be 0, and differentiation of z with respect to z is 1. So you will get equal to minus p divided by 3 epsilon 0 in the direction of, because in the this is the electric field, this I write in a scalar form, but if you write in a vector form, that E electric field E will be equal to minus p upon 3 epsilon in the direction of vector k. Here there will be a unit vector k. Please remember this, because I take a gradient of a scalar. Gradient of a scalar is a vector, and here I write down minus v vector p. There is a minus sign here, and minus vector p. You know vector p is along z direction, along the polar axis. So your electric field, which is produced because of the surface bound charges, is in the negative z direction. That is in the k direction, minus k direction, minus k direction. And that's why you see this is minus vector p upon 3, that is opposite to the vector p. Is opposite to the vector p. Opposite to the vector p is minus negative z direction. That is equal to the minus the direction of minus k vector. That is the k unit vector k. So you can see here, I have mentioned here, look at the diagram in the interior of the sphere, look at your electric field. All this electric field in the interior of the sphere is in the negative z direction. It is opposite, your vector p is along z direction. So your electric field is going along the negative z direction. The electric field is uniform because it is a constant p upon 3 epsilon 0. So the field inside the sphere is uniform and along the negative z direction, so that you can understand now the figure which I have mentioned here. Okay, so we have calculated the electric field inside the sphere. So inside the sphere, if you have a polarized sphere, if the sphere is uniformly polarized, and if the polarization vector P is along the z direction, the electric field will be always along the negative z direction. You please remember this. Now, once you know this factor, let us calculate the electric field outside the sphere, and this result is very important. And you see here, I write down outside the sphere, the potential is identical to that of perfect dipole at the origin. The electric field outside the sphere, or I would say outside the sphere, the potential is identical to that of perfect dipole at the origin. So that I can show you. You see, the potential is here, V of r theta. Your potential is depending upon r and theta. It is given by P upon 3 epsilon 0 capital R Q divided by R square, where capital R is the radius of the sphere and R small r is the distance which is measured from the center of sphere. And this the expression is basically a potential inside the sphere because of the surface charges accumulated over the surface of the sphere. So I use this expression here. Look at this expression. So when I use this expression, you can see this expression here. I write. Now this is basically a polarization vector. Polarization vector is dipole moment per unit volume. So I calculated this. I substitute the value of P. The value of P is a dipole moment. Dipole moment is a small vector P. It's not a polarization vector. It is a dipole moment divided by the volume of the sphere. The sphere has radius r, so volume will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. So I put the value of P here, right, and 1 upon 3 epsilon 0 factor remain as it is. Then r cube upon r square is remain at a cos theta, so it will be equal to P cos theta over 4 pi epsilon 0 r square. And this is nothing but it is the expression of electrical potential at a distance r from the center of the dipole. This is nothing but It is the expression of electric potential at a distance r from the center of the dipole. So this is the potential due to the dipole. So you can imagine that if you want to calculate or if you want to find the electric field outside the sphere, one can imagine there is a dipole which is kept along the z-axis, whose dipole moment is in the direction along the z-axis, and the center of the dipole is coinciding at the origin of the coordinate system. So one can see that the field outside the sphere will be the field of like a electric dipole. So you can see here I mentioned, look at the field pattern which I have mentioned. Look at this field pattern. Outside the sphere which I mentioned is nothing but it is a field pattern of electric dipole. And we have discussed the field pattern of electric dipole. If you have a dipole and if you see the field line surrounding the dipole is like this, and this field is non-uniform, you see. So please remember that we have calculated the field inside as well as outside. So if the sphere is uniformly polarized, the field inside the sphere is uniform, but field outside the sphere is like a field of an electric dipole. You can imagine that if you want to consider the field outside the sphere, you can imagine there is a dipole which is kept at the origin of the coordinate system along the z-axis, and the dipole moment is orienting is oriented along the z-axis. So this problem will explain you the uh, polarization as well as the field pattern of the uniformly polarized sphere as well as the field pattern of electric dipoles. You see outside the sphere, I have mentioned the field pattern is the field of electric dipole, and inside the sphere, the field is uniform and it is opposite to the direction of polarization. So you see the polarization is along the z direction, the polar axis. The electric field is opposite to the direction of polarization and it is a uniform field. So you see the field of a polarized object inside, if you see inside the polarized object, if it is spherical and if it is a regular sphere of radius r, then you have a uniform electric field. And now you see, once you understand this problem, let us try to understand another problem which I have. Now you see there is another problem which I have selected, that you have a sphere of radius capital R once again, and it carries a polarization. And here the polarization is non-uniform. It is a function of R. As distance r changes from the center of the sphere, the polarization is changes as a function, and the polarization is a function of r is given as k times vector r. This is a vector r which is measured from the center of the sphere. So this vector r, but the magnitude of vector r will change from 0 to the radius of the sphere, and here k is constant. So this is the polarization in the sphere, and k is constant and r is the vector from the center. What we want to calculate the bound charges, that is the sigma b volume charge density of the bound charges, sigma b and sorry volume charge density of the bound charges is rho b, and surface charge density of the bound charges is sigma b. So we want to calculate surface charge density of the polarized charges, and we want to calculate volume charge density of the polarized charges, that is the bound charges, which are basically these are the fixed charges, these are stationary, these are static charges which are induced because of the polarizations. And you see here the polarization is non-uniform, and since polarization is non-uniform, rho b is not 0. So we have to calculate rho b and we have to calculate sigma b. And now you see here, please remember this problem. Look at this. You have your vector r. Your vector r is making angle theta with the z-axis. This is the polar axis, and your polarization is given by vector k times vector r. So you see your unit vector n is in the direction of a vector r, right? This is the vector r direction which is moving radially outward, right? And your unit vector n is in the direction of vector r. And now if you want to find out first the surface charge density of the bound charges is always given by a scalar product of vector p with the unit vector n, and this is the polarization vector p. And polarization vector p I substitute here, you see k times vector r. So I write down p vector p is k times vector r dot unit vector n, and you know that vector r, that is the radius vector, right? This radius vector r is in the direction of unit vector n, right? And basically we want to study sigma b, and sigma b is plastered over the surface of the sphere. It is not inside the sphere. It is plastered over the surface of, and if it is plastered surface of the sphere, then this r will be equal to the radius of the sphere. So the maximum value. So I write down this r is capital R, right? N dot n, and you know your radius vector r and in the same direction. So your sigma b will be equal to k times r. So we have calculated sigma b, surface charge density of the bound charges. And now we want to calculate the volume charge density of the bound charges, that is given by B, that is a minus divergence of a polarization vector. So negative of a divergence of a polarization. So divergence of any vector which we calculate. So I will use the r theta phi coordinate system. We use a spherical polar coordinate system. So I have a expression. I wrote it here. If you have any vector function v, and if you want to calculate its divergence of a vector function v, so divergence of a vector function v is given as 1 upon r square del by del r square. This is Vr, that is the r part of your vector function. V has three components, and r theta phi, Vr, v theta, and v phi. As you see, if you calculate divergence of any vector function in a Cartesian coordinate system, suppose if I take a vector function f, it has three coordinates, fx, fy, fz. And if I calculate its divergence in a Cartesian coordinate system at a given point x, y, z, then I calculate divergence of f is equal to delta fx by delta x plus delta fy by delta y plus delta fz by delta z. That is in a Cartesian coordinate system where fx, fy, fz are the component of a vector f, x component, y component, and z component. Similarly, if I have my vector v, and if I want to find out is divergence of that vector v in r theta phi coordinate system, then I have that vector v has components, vr component, this is v theta, and this is v phi, and this is the expression of the divergence of p. Divergence of p is 1 upon r square del by del r square vr plus 1 upon r sin theta del by del theta sin theta, and this is v theta. This is v theta, and you have a 1 upon r sin theta del by del phi v phi. This you have to remember. And now you know basically our problem is we want to not calculate divergence of p, but we want to calculate divergence of p, and p is a polarization, and polarization is the only function of r, and polarization does not depends upon angle theta in our case, because you see the polarization is given, it's only simply a function of r. So since polarization is a simply a function of r, the second term of the divergence of the vector function and the third term of a divergence of a vector function will vanish, because our potential p does not depends upon theta. Potential, I'm sorry, so not put, I'm sorry. excuse me, our polarization P is only the r dependent. It does not depend upon theta. It does not depend upon phi. So this second term will disappear. Third term will disappear. So only you can see I wrote this expression here. You see rho b is equal to minus. So I write minus divergence of P. I use this expression here 1 upon r square del by del r square PR. This is the theta part, this is the phi part which will vanish. So this theta part will be 0, phi part will be 0. So you can see that the volume charge density of bound charge is equal to minus 1 upon r square del by del r square PR. That is the radial part. The radial part of the polarization part, you see P of r is kr. If you write in a magnitude, it is P of r, it is kr in a magnitude form. So I write down PR is kr. So here you see I write down here, you see r square and it is kr. So it is kr cube. So minus 1 upon r square and del by del r of kr cube is 3kr square. R square and r square cancel. So you get minus 3k. So volume charge density of the bound charges is minus 3k. So we have calculated sigma b, we have calculated rho b, and you see rho b is not zero because polarization is non-uniform. And if polarization is non-uniform, rho b you will have get some value of minus 3k. Now you want to calculate electric field inside the sphere. The electric field inside the sphere can be calculated. We know that if you have a charged sphere of radius r, right? And if you want to calculate electric field intensity inside the charged sphere at a distance r, where small r is less than capital R, I want to calculate electric field intensity at a distance small r, where small r is less than capital R. That means I'm in the interior of the sphere. We have calculated the electric field. The electric field at a distance r inside the sphere where small r is less than capital R is given by rho r upon 3 epsilon 0. So you see this is the expression which we have already discussed. See, this is the rho r upon 3 epsilon 0 in the direction of unit vector r. And rho is basically a volume charge density of the bound charges. So that is minus 3k. So I write down minus 3k. This is a magnitude of r in the upon 3 epsilon 0 and in the direction of unit vector r. So I write down. So these 3 cancels. So minus k upon epsilon 0 in the direction of vector r. So electric field inside the sphere is given by minus k upon epsilon 0 in the direction of unit vector r. You see the direction of unit vector r is radially outward, right? It's radially outward. So your electric field will be radially inward. You see, this is radially inward, opposite to the direction of unit vector r. Now, this problem is that for r greater than r, you may consider that this spherical charge distribution is behaving like a point charge distribution. All the charges which is distributed uniformly, you can consider that all the charges is accumulated at the center and the effect is produced from the center itself. So the spherical charge distribution is behaving like a point charge distribution. So here you can consider uh, first of all uh, the spherical charge distribution, and you want to calculate electric field outside the sphere. So first let us calculate this. So to do this, you see first you find total charges because there are bound charges as well as because we are taking about outside the sphere. So you have to take the surface charges as well as the bound charges. So let us calculate the total charges accumulated. Alright, so you can see the surface charges. The total surface charge is, what is the total surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r square, and surface charge density of the bound charges is sigma b. So sigma b into 4 pi r square is gives you total surface charge, right? Because you see we are calculating electric field outside the sphere. If you are calculating electric field outside the sphere, you have to calculate total charge. First you calculate total charge. The total charge will be the surface charges, the bound charges. And total surface charges will be equal to, you have calculated this total surface charges, surface area into the surface charge density. Bound volume charges, rho b is a volume charge density per unit volume, right? This is rho b, and the volume is volume of the sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube. Now you see rho b is minus 3k. We have already calculated. So I put a minus 3k here, and this is giving you 4 pi r cube, right? Because, and this is 3 and 3 cancel. This is you minus 4 pi, but there is a minus sign of this rho b. So that is a minus 3k, uh, minus sign I kept here. So you have the total surface charge is 4 pi r cube, and total volume charge is 4 pi r cube. So they cancel each other. So the total charge enclosed by the sphere is 0. So if you, there is no total charge, so if there are no total charge, algebraic sum is 0. That means the total charge is 0. If the total charge is 0, electric field will be 0. So please remember, so the electric field outside the sphere which we have calculated is 0 in this case, because total charge accumulated is 0 here. And now once you know these two problems, I am giving you this problem for homework. The problem is that you have a very short cylinder of a radius small a and length L, which carries a frozen in uniform polarization, vector P parallel to its axis. That means you have a polarization which is frozen in absence of electric field also. There is no electric, but once you see there are some specimen, when you place the specimen in the electric field, there is a polarization, and once the polarization is there, and if the polarization is locked, if it is frozen, and if you remove the field, the polarization is locked and it is frozen, and then it is behave. This mechanism is similar to a mechanism of a bar magnet, right? It behaves like a bar. So this for this particular configuration is considered as electret. It is considered as a bar electret. So here you see, you have to find the bound charges and sketch the electric field. So once again, I am repeating the problem. You have a short cylinder of a radius small a and length capital L, carries a frozen in uniform polarization vector P parallel to its axis. Find the bound charges and sketch the electric field for the cases where the length of the cylinder is very much greater than the radius A, case number 1. Number 2, where length of the cylinder is very much smaller than the radius of the cylinder, and when length of the cylinder is of the order of the radius of the cylinder, and you see this frozen in uniform polarization is known as bar electret, and it is the and this is basically an analogous to a bar magnet. So this is the problem. You please find out the bound charges and sketch the electric field for L is very much greater than A, L is very much less than A, and when L is of the order of A. So this is the problem for the homework which I am giving you. So please solve this problem. Your CIA 1 examination is approaching. Your syllabus of your examination is up to lecture 5. All 5 lectures are included in your examinations. So please prepare all the 5 lectures, and the assignments of the class number 3, lecture number 4 and lecture number 5 will be uploaded after your CIA examinations. So I wish you all the best, and I stop here. Thank you very much.